Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. You may have seen this card. This technique has been around for a while. I just recently saw a year-old video from Connie Stewart and I was taken by it, so I decided to make one. This one I used the new Textured Notes stamp set that's bundled with those Textured Notes dies, and so I'm going to use something else, but isn't that cool? Look at that Natural Botanicals, or I think Natural Botanical Naturals DSP that has the grayscale colors in there. So I'm going to show you how to make this fun card. You have a lot of DSP hanging around and you can use it up with this technique. Okay, so I decided to use this paper that's in the Everyday Happiness. It's an online exclusive. I used it on my bookmark card last video, and I loved the gingham here and this subtle wild wheat here with the Lost Lagoon. Now I'm going to show you how you make that fun fold, and like I said, you can make this with any DSP you have laying around. Now, if your paper is directional, you're going to want to keep it in the portrait position. Both of this card actually was pretty random, and this is random too, but say you had flowers going up and down, you would want to keep it going portrait. You also want to put the piece of paper that you want to see on the outside of the card down against your scoreboard, okay? You start out with a 6 3/4 by 8 inch piece of DSP. So 6 3/4 by 8 inch. You put the 6 3/4 at the top of your trimmer or your scoring tool. I'm using the scoring tool because it's very easy to measure to the 2 3/4 mark. Now, once again, this is what I want to see on the outside, so I'm putting it down. And this is going to be 2 3/4, and I make a score line. And then I'm going to turn it counterclockwise, and I'm going to make another 2 3/4. Okay? So that is how I'm going to make this, and you're going to see that I'm going to be seeing this on the outside because of the way I'm going to be folding it. Once again, I put it what I wanted to see on the outside down, and I went 2 3/4, turned it counterclockwise, so the 8 inches at the top now, and did 2 3/4 again. Okay, now I'm going to show you the fun little fold here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to end up having, I think you can see where it intersects. We're going to make a line that goes through here and across here, okay? So it's going to go here. And the way we're going to do that is by folding our paper right at that line right there. We're just going to fold it and we're going to crease it, okay? And this is the point. I think you can kind of see right there. It's right where they intersect is where we're doing that, okay? Now, that is going to be the... Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I just made a quick mistake there. Now I noticed when I turned it, you want this score line and this score line to line up with these two score lines. So, and the reason why it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to score it that way. I want to make sure this one is there. So you'll see that is a nice straight line. When I first did it, I thought I had it, but you need to have this score line and this score line line up with these score lines. So you see that? Now you have this diagonal line here, and when you put it down, this score line is going to line up with this score line, and you'll know you have to get that. And actually, like I said, it is very simple to do, but you have to be able to see where that's at. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open it up and we're going to fold it over this way, okay? And we're going to fold it down this way because this is we're going to use that scoring line and pull that down here. We're going to get that over to here. And then that might be right where you're going to kind of do a little bit of making that showing that paper who is the boss. And it just folds down like that. See how cool that is? And that opens that way, but you're folding it here. And even if you're not perfect here, we're going to put a piece of cardstock here nobody's gonna see this part. But that is what we did. We put down the good side, 2 3/4. We turned it to the 8-inch side, 2 3/4. Of course, this was 6 3/4 by 8. We did 2 3/4. We turned the 8-inch side, did 2 3/4 again. Then we folded it so that the point is where the score line is here, where you're making a score line yourself, but you're going to line up the score lines that you have here with the score lines that are here. And then when you fold it over, it just folds in to create that fun little square there. And like I said, now if you're a little bit off, you can just play around with it, and it's all going to work out because we're going to put it. Now, you're wondering, what are we going to be making here? Okay, I'm going to get some glue though first here. Get some of my glue out here and hope that it is going to be working. I'm going to put this back here. Okay, you can't see, but there is glue coming out. Well, there was. Okay, let's see here. This one seems like it's full here. Okay, there you go. Okay, and we're going to put that piece of DSP on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch Lost Lagoon panel of cardstock. And we're just going to center that on there the best that we can. Now, what I'm going to show you is a new stamp set in the online exclusives called the Faith Collection. It's got a stamped image that you can cut out, and then it's got crosses that you can cut out. And what I did here is I made my piece that's going to go on the front here. I coordinated the wild wheat that's here, and I wanted it to pop off of the different color of the Lost Lagoon. Now this piece here is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 high. And I stamped mine, and then I'm going to, as you can see, that first attempt at my stamping, it wasn't perfect. So I flipped it over, and I was wonderfully happy that the Lord gave me a nice clean image the second time. And that is going to be the piece that's going on the front of the card. Now I stamped the He Is Risen. It was a little bit crooked, and then I thought, oh, you know what, I want to pop it up anyhow. So I used the smallest die that's in our perennial postage dies, and I decided to put that as my, well, I kind of pop it up there, and it kind of, I know I have some dimensionals here. Here we go. We have all these little dimensionals left over here. So I'm going to use these edges here, and I'm going to put this, and it did kind of remind me of the sign above our Lord, his cross. So I'm going to center that right there. It gives some dimension to the front of the card. And actually, I think I'm going to glue this on here. You put some glue right in that corner there where this piece is going to center onto your card. Okay. Let me center it there. Okay. And I thought it would be really pretty to take this piece here. There's a die in the set that has what I always call a lacy die. And when I thought it actually had the imprint of the wood grain on it, but it actually pops out. So I wanted to layer it onto another piece here. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of here. And then put it onto the solid wild wheat cross. Oh gosh, what a mess. Okay, I can get that off of there. There we go. Man. Now I have glue all over my fingers, but you get the picture there. I'm putting that, and that glue is going to dry clear. And then I'm going to pop it off the middle of that pretty floral, not floral, foliage there, the palms there. I'm going to put dimensionals there and a little dimensional here. Oh, there's so many different DSPs. It would really be pretty doing this technique. You do end up using a bit of your DSP up because it's a 6 3/4 by 8, but it is fun. And I think we all have a plethora of patterned paper, designer series paper laying around. So, okay, now if I could get that off my finger, I'm going to pop that up right in the middle of the palm fronds. And so we've given some dimensionals with our sign hanging at the top and our cross there, he is risen. And then it opens up and we're going to decorate the inside. Now the inside, what we're going to do is we're going to, this is 2 3/4, right? And this is 2 3/4. So we're going to put some Lost Lagoon in there, and that's a 2.5 inch square. And we're going to pop that right up here. And I kind of like the contrast of the Lost Lagoon with the wild wheat there. And then I did a pretty little thinking of you with some of the lilies there. Once again, I was stamping on the back. I had a class last week, and everybody was wondering why the back of their arch had, or their little tag on their card had a back on it. We don't have this in our kit. And I said, that's because I accidentally stamped on a piece of white, not knowing there was stamping on, and I had to cover it up. So there we go. Like, see how this closes? He is risen, thinking of you. And then I simply put a palm frond down here, and that decorated, is that the right glue? I think that was not the one I was using. I think it's time to go through the glue and see which ones work. Okay, so, and if you're doing this type of card, this piece here, because our DSP ends up being 4 inches wide, so we went into 3 3/4 by 5, because this ends up being 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, and you'll see that you actually see that palm frond down there. Okay, now I'm going to say that I think I have some more decorating to do on this card, but this was the simple part that I did here. This is a great stamp set for encouragement. This could be for your somebody who's going through a rough time, just to remind them that let your faith be bigger than your fears, that God is a God of mercy. God is a God of not confusion and chaos, but of completeness. And he really does want us to put our faith into action and not to let those fears overcome us, because he isn't a God of fear. He is a God of showing us the way. And so this would be a great sentiment to do there. And also for Easter, definitely he is risen. God is love, thinking of you. So this could be great for a baptism, a confirmation, Easter, just anytime you want to just really remind somebody of the Lord and his grace. And so I just kind of played with the colors that were in the DSP, and I just like the subtleness of the wild wheat. And so I pulled that out here. I think probably I might find some embellishments with wild wheat in them, or Lost Lagoon, or maybe put some ribbon on there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. So you make sure that you go over to my blog, CindyLeeBdesigns.com, and look and see if I added something to it. So once again, you just start out with a 6 3/4 by 8 inch piece of paper. You put the piece that you want to see on the outside down on the surface so that you can score it. And you go 2 3/4, turn it counterclockwise just one time, and do another 2 3/4, and then you fold over this paper and you line up these two score lines that you made with the other score lines here. And then it just comes together. It just ends up coming together like this. It's It's really cute. Remember, when you're watching a video, if you're not getting it right at first, you can always pause, rewind. I do that a million times when I'm watching videos. So I hope that you like that. I think this is a great stamp set to have in your collection. I have some other cross ones, but I do like this, the size of this one too. So why don't you give this technique a corner fun fold, a corner fold fun fold card. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.